I'm Bobby Wright.
Known for your real estate in downtown Norfolk.
I see buildings as art.
So we are in downtown Norfolk. We have a very special guest today. So if you'd like to share, what is your name and what do you spend the most time doing?
Hi, Levi. I'm Bobby Wright. I'm a serial entrepreneur. People know me for my real estate, and I'm located in downtown Norfolk, my neighborhood.
Okay. So you're known for your real estate in downtown Norfolk. So does that mean you own like houses, commercial real estate? What does that mean?
It's a good question. We have developed residential, but because we did develop it in multi-level mixed-use buildings, like you may know of Baxter's, or across from the Granby Theater where Domino's Pizza is, or across from Wells Fargo Tower, we did multi-unit condos. And we were kind of blazing a trail. So we were the first ones to get into loft condos and more open, smaller spaces. But that's considered commercial because we were building multiple units, more than 4. But we had a team, an in-house team that did the marketing, the sales, the pre-sales. The whole goal of it, is to make money. But really, the whole goal of everything we do is about underwriting, undergirding, and promoting people and trying to keep community or build community. In some places, we have to create the market. So if there's no market and you desire to make it, I believe you can actually put the team together, create the mission and the vision, and create the demand, and therefore people will come.
So when you got involved in commercial real estate in downtown Norfolk, I imagine these buildings are pretty old, so they're already standing. Did you do renovations to change them to lofts?
Yes, they're considered historic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if someone's listening to me and they're in Europe, they'll laugh. But most of the buildings are the early 1900s, so they exceed 100 years old. In our world, that's historic, that's older, that's history. But the United States is a very young country. So if you go into Europe, my grandfather is from Italy.
Oh, wow.
And, buildings there exceed 1,000 years old, right? Jesus walked on the earth over 2,000 years. So our history is a little different than around the world. But for those listening here in the Hampton Roads area, say Richmond, we all get it. There was a big construction boom going on in the turn of that century, the 1900s. It's amazing what was going on. So if you look at Granby Street and you look at the buildings, actually they're in excellent shape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Compared to
And
buildings
tons of
that were
character
built.
also.
Yeah, thank you. The architecture was great. But so they're 100 some years old. And at that time, at the turn of 20th century or 21st century, 2000, most of the buildings were empty. And so my love of art comes through buildings. I see buildings as art. So if I see a building that's either needs some cosmetic love or some repair or whatever, I immediately see it for what it can be or what it used to be, and how can we make it be just like that again. But more importantly, I see the economic side of it. I have an accounting degree, so I have a conservative background in financial considerations of balance sheets and ledgers and all that kind of stuff. Where I have enough information, I'm good at the bank to deal with this stuff and understand numbers.
Well-rounded skills to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, thank you. So I look at it and I see multi-story buildings, which most historic buildings are, as economic engines, individually and collectively. So what can we do? Who can we attract? How can we market a building so that we can bring back people to that building, keeping in mind that the building contiguously to it or across the street will also play into the natural maturation of the neighborhood?
Okay.
Right? Because one building's not going to do it. So when I first was dreaming, came down here, I was working in commercial real estate. I'd worked for Amada Hoffler, the best. You think of Town Center, think of the Inner Harbor in Baltimore. Dan Hoffler, he's an amazing man. I still consider him a close friend. He's just a big dreamer, great marketer, and very well at putting together a significant team of people around him. He's brilliant because he humbles himself and he puts other people around him that can take his vision and his dream and implement it.
Let's touch on that. So I'd like to get a deeper understanding of who Bobby Wright is. And what I've already learned so far is, number one, you're incredibly humble. You speak incredibly highly about your team, your previous associates, and it seems like you still have a good relationship with all of them. I'd love to understand how you built your teams and maybe if there's something from your early life that contributed to those skills.
Well, thank you. That's a great question. And dovetailing off what we were discussing at Amada Hoffler, my brother was in Northern Virginia doing commercial real estate, and I saw Adams Morgan, places like that. And I would always think, why in my hometown do we not have walking districts that are so cool, like the history. We have very little history left in Hampton Roads, although we are the birthplace of history for this country.
It's culturally rich and historically
Culturally. But Norfolk, for example, took advantage of HUD money. I think it was HUD money, Housing Urban Development, Redevelopment, through the federal government in the 50s. It was a lot of free given money to clean out slums. And in my opinion only, but if you go to the Sergeant Room at the Slover Library and you look at the pictures of the buildings that we had in this downtown, it'll make you cry. You look over your shoulder and see some right there. They were so, like you said, architecturally significant and different. And that's because then people built a building because it had their name on it. It had their company name on it.
They took pride in it.
It was them. It was their DNA. They weren't renting a building from someone that has a return on investment.
It was art, as you said.
Yes. It had, if you were Polish, it probably had whatever. If you were German, it was Art Moderne. If you were Italian, it looked like the Granby Theater. It had so much culture from who you are as thousands of years, your DNA in it. And you come here, and then we become the melting pot called the United States. But so anyway, the buildings have so much character that I was like, why? Why is this way?
Wow. So that was a lot to take in. I feel like I really got a good understanding of who Bobby Wright is. Perhaps before we close out this section, I'd like to maybe take it back before your career, maybe early on in life. How did these values develop? Was it relationships with your family, your friends? How did these values that extend beyond money and things like that develop?
No one's ever asked me that question, so therefore I've never really thought of the answer in totality, because I could really, that could even be emotional to think back. But my parents separated when I was 2, so my mom was a single mom. For most of the years of my growing, my mom was a single mom. My mom always taught us to respect ourselves and others, always to be clean. And I didn't realize how important that was. But it wasn't about just not smelling. It was about how you present yourself.
Exactly.
So my mom was very well put together when it came, and very feminine. When she walked, she looked like a woman, and it was beautiful. Her wrists were turned out, but she walked with confidence. It was beautiful when I think back to my mom and how she led us as children to go on, 3 of us together, go on our own individual paths is amazing. And P.S., she wasn't supposed to have children. So I consider myself a miracle, my sister a miracle, and my brother a miracle.
3
because
miracles.
she was not supposed to have children. The first kid would kill her. That's what the doctor said. She had 3. The other thing, though, that was big, not only about respect and cleanliness, was she was very tidy, very organized, very clean. As kids, we hated it.
Right.
We did not go anywhere until we pulled weeds, vacuumed the house, washed the dishes. Some people call them chores. They do feel like chores. But look what it did. It laid a pattern in my brain of what you do in the morning to be successful. And so that was ingrained in me, of what you do in the morning, which sets the tone for how I am in business. So I used to tell my staff, which was much bigger than now, the same thing my mom said, and the same thing I heard from Dan Hoffler. If I look out the window and I see trash on the sidewalk of Grammy Street, and I see you walk by it, and unless it's a really good reason and you do not pick it up, I'm going to fire you. That's the tone. We have got to care about our community on every level, from the trash to the people, from the homeless person to the CEO, the empty building to the beautiful tower. It all matters. It all creates community.
Thank you so much. Guess that'll wrap up our first section, but I'm glad I met you, brother. Thank you.
Likewise, brother. Thank you.